This is the Diary. I'm Scott Johnson. You've tuned in intentionally. You're not hearing this unless you wanted to. You had to click play wherever you're getting it. You may be getting this on YouTube. You might be listening on a device. Either way, you had to download this thing or, stream it live, something. It was a deliberate act on your part, right? You didn't need me to hold your hand or tell you what to do. You just knew. You intuitively knew that it was time, that this is our time. Anyway, I hope you're all doing good. It's been a bit. It's weird. You'd think because I have this outlet in the form of the diary that I would probably use it more during times where I have a lot on my mind and I need to sort of flush or vent what I'm thinking. And you're right. That is what it's for. That's the whole point of it. Yet when things are a little hairy and weird, I tend not to do it as consistently. I have some theories about that, but that's not what I'm here to figure out. What I'm here to do is just kind of give you an update on everything and where we're at, what's going on around here. Okay, so a couple things. Somebody posted something the other day. Do I still have that handy? I think I do. Let me grab this thing I found. Somebody replied to me on, I think it was Blue Sky, which I really like, by the way. As of now, it is my favorite of the Twitter replacements. And since I'm officially off that thing, it's nice to have something I can kind of go to and use. I use Threads as well, but Threads is kind of a mess. I don't know. It's not horrible, but half the time their hidden words thing doesn't work. And it's the only way that place is livable for me is when I can turn those on, because otherwise the conversations I'm getting in the algorithm are just horrendous. And I'm like, why? So I do the hidden words and it works great when it works, but today it didn't work. It won't stay toggled. And I'm getting blasted with all this stuff that I'm supposed to be muting. But anyway, here it is. Okay, he may even be listening to this. There's somebody named Michael Orr, who I think I've talked to in other contexts as a listener or something. But his response to me was because I did this post where I was basically explaining that I've had it with the cycle that we get ourselves into, and I realized that we are all sort of victim to the same cycle. We're just at different sides of it all the time. And we've had instilled in us since, I don't know, maybe the mid 2005, 06, 07 era through now, this feeling, this sense that because there were platforms and places that we could start yapping in public, social media of all kinds, right? That somehow meant that our voice made a difference. That somehow you barking off to your 13 followers and 400 bots who follow you was moving the needle in some direction or another. And it's a lie. It's just, I've come to this conclusion. And this all came around, as you may guess, from the election. The election happened. And a few things happened to me when the results came in. I went, okay, I wonder if I'm going to see some of the same big news organizations that all week leading up to it and prior to that too, but really in the last couple of weeks where things get really hairy, right? I wonder if we're going to see them suddenly change their tone and be critical of things that they could have been critical of during the lead up, but chose not to, and instead did a lot of both sidesing and acting like there's no, that somehow somebody wearing a different colored suit versus somebody dog whistling their, certain Nazi followers or something, like those two things are somehow equivalent, that they're the same faux pas, you know what I mean? And it was, from sources that some that I normally are like, yeah, are usually pretty reliable. And it was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then it ends. And now suddenly those same exact news organizations are very, we're we really got to watch Trump now. We got to, and they made this shift, right? And so it was a little bit of a self-fulfilling prediction that was how that was going to go. Because I don't know, I just like, is that how this is going to go? Did I miss this shift in 2016 or even 2020 or any other time, really? Did I miss that shift? And I think I did. I think I was a little bit blind to it. This time I saw it. It was like overnight, literally overnight. And it was like, here's what it means when he gets up and says this. This is a dark time. It's like, you guys, I was listening to you a week ago, your headlines. Where was this then? You knew it then. You had the wherewithal to say similar things then. So why now? Why not then? You know. And that was just part of this whole thing. But then it hit me. They know that. The whole thing is money. It's all money. And it sounds, look, this may sound conspiratorial. It may sound too simple. But that's the thing about large amounts of money being at stake. It is that simple. Like 90% of all of this is quid pro quo, money, who has it, where it's shifting. When something's low, how do we make it high? If something's too high, how do we make it low? If something's going to crash, how do we make sure that the people on top don't get hit in any significant way? Like, this is the way. This is it. And you may say, well, Scott, this is just late stage capitalism. And I would say, yeah, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I think it's just human greed. I don't think it helps to give it some sort of modern label. I think it just is what it's always been since time began. Who has what? Who has the most? Who most successfully hoards it? And really, that's it. And then the rest of it's you're just sort of a pawn, right? So anyway, let me get to this thing. This listener posted this reply to my whole thing about how I'm not going to engage in political stuff anymore, that the diary might be the only place where I talk about this stuff at all. I'm not doing it on shows. I'm not letting it just come up in random conversations on air. I'm not doing any kind of posting about it. I'm not going to follow anybody. I'm unfollowing nearly everybody. I deleted my Twitter account. That's a whole other story. There was such a... If you listen to TMS, you know what happened there. It was so weird what happened with them. They thought I was under 13 and tried to ban my account before I could ban it myself or do whatever I was going to do. It's so stupid. That place, it's run by like two guys and a muffin. I really believe that. Anyway, so let's get back to this. So he replies to my big, not diatribe, but my message, just basically kind of throwing my hands up and acknowledging that I don't have any power in this. None. We're all made to believe we are. And you know why we're made to believe that we are? Is so that we can go online, act like we are, and then be always online and always in front of these things and always seeing advertisement and always being on the platform that gets paid because you're there, either by volume of users or, like I say, ads or whatever it is, whatever their model is. It's designed to do that to you. And the best way to get people to stay somewhere is to fire them up, get them mad, and have them hang around. It's for the bottom line of these platforms. That's it. You don't have an actual voice. And you could say, well, what about people with huge numbers of followers and stuff? They have a voice to the other people who agree with them already. They don't convince new people. Like I like Stephen King a lot, and he's pretty funny, and he likes to troll Musk and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, who's he convincing? Nobody. It's just doing this. It's the same. His little ecosystem, I shouldn't say little, his large ecosystem is really just a scaled up version of our little one. It's not actually doing anything. It doesn't do anything. It's a myth and a mirage to believe that these platforms somehow give you, it's very important that your voice be heard. No, it's not. It is, but not in the way you think. It is, but not where you think. It's not on Threads or Blue Sky or freaking Twitter or Facebook or anywhere else. I mean, whatever. Facebook's basically just AI generated slop that old people like, but because they don't know if it's real or not. But aside from that, there's this myth that it's like the public square, the place where all the idea, the wisdom of crowd. No, it's not that. It started out being pictures of your food and a comment about traffic, right? And then it became more different things. And how do you keep growing? And how do you maintain? And how do you make money? You piss everybody off and have them all up in a rage all the time. That's it. That's it. Positivity doesn't do it. Good news doesn't do it. Freak out does it. So that's where the focus is. And I promise you this. If you went and started a brand new account somewhere, fresh, all right? Never been there before. You've got no, you come to it with no internet history of any kind, of any sort, all right? No connected apps, no nothing. It doesn't know a thing about you. You sign up for the first time, completely anonymously. They don't know who you are. You get to the algorithm, and you're immediately going to get a mix of things. You're going to get like, look at this video of this thing. Check out this news today. Hey, they're going to take away your rights. Hey, somebody said this and everyone's mad. You're going to see that stuff immediately. So then you say, well, I'm going to start curating this. So you start blocking certain things and you start flicking past posts you don't like or not liking them or, hiding them or whatever it is you're going to do, muting the accounts to try to shape it. Now you would think, all right, well, this person's not interested in everything in the same basket. We're going to give them stuff they seem to like. So the algorithm is supposed to know that. That's supposed to be what's so powerful about it. But I promise you, it might give you a moment, a day, maybe 2 days or something of like, all right, this is better. I'm getting kind of more what I want and none of that stuff. But the stuff will sneak in here and there. And one time it'll ping you because you'll go, wait a minute. They promised those guys they were raising their pay in that one state, but then they pulled it just because the election went a different way. I can't believe it. I must express my outrage. Before you know it, you're back in. You're back into the twist and zip of the whole thing. It's a mirage. I'm telling you, it's a mirage. You can argue with me all you want. And I said earlier, it's important that you have your voice be heard. Guess where it's important? On the ground, where you are, with people you are around. That's it. That's it. In my case, that extends to my community. They know where I stand. I don't need to lecture them every day about what I think. And they either hang around or they don't, right? But with your families, your friends, your coworkers, people you talk to every day, that's where it matters. It does not matter that you yelled out a thing in agreement with some other point of view, hit send and walked away and went, all right, I've done all I can do today. Like, that doesn't exist. It never has. And I don't care. It doesn't even scale up. The only exception is when it does scale up for those who want to do harm, they can do some pretty good harm with it. But it's not equal for those trying to do good. And at some level, I don't know about you, but actors you liked in a movie who happen to align with your thinking. I mean, what is it? What does it do? What are we doing? So you might say, well, Scott, it just sounds like you're giving up. It's not. I'll finally read this reply now that I've been hinting at this entire time. Michael Orr, on a reply to that thread that I put up there, said, the politics of anger only benefits the politicians that stoke it. There's nothing in it for anyone else. Tune it out. And I agree with him 100%. He said in 2 sentences my exact take. Well, 3. Tune it out as a 3rd sentence. The politics of anger only benefits the politicians that stoke it, meaning stoke the anger. That's it. That's it. Does there's nothing in it for you, your family, your kids, your wife, your husband, your pets. Nothing. There's nothing. Now, is there release sometimes? Is there, I've said my piece. Like, you can have these are valid emotions, and I understand that. I'm not even saying don't do it. In fact, I'm not telling you that at all. You may think I am, but I'm not. I'm saying I'm done doing it. I'm done. I can't do this cycle anymore. Because it turns out all it's done to me is make me put on weight, get angry, have my stress levels go up, have higher blood pressure than when things started. Like, if I get into another cycle like this, I'm just killing myself early. That's what's happening. I'm eating away at my energy, at my life essence. And I'm not going to do that for the benefit of gigantic corporations and tech bros who you think are into you. They're not. They never have been. Why would they? That's not the deal. The deal isn't compassionate thinking for a better world. That isn't what they do. Their job, if you're Meta, is to have everybody on their platforms all the time, constantly. And then while they're there, they're looking at ads, buying things, using their shops, using Marketplace, getting a percentage on this and that and the other. Like, if you're Meta, that's Zuckerberg's job. And when he comes out and says, well, I think the future's AR, or I think the future's VR, or whatever, that's him saying, the future is us selling you a shit ton of product because we've convinced you that we care or that we give a shit. And it doesn't mean that there aren't valuable products or things that don't help you. There are. I mean, dude, right now I'm talking on a great microphone that I had to pay for. I am recording on software that I really like, and I'm using a computer I'm very happy with. That's not what I mean. The stuff that engages society, grabs society by the butthole and shakes it around like this, that's what I'm talking about. Long gone, or whatever heady days we had on Twitter about it being a place where we could all hang out and talk and share ideas and follow each other, and that's done. I mean, it exists, and I think Blue Sky is the best example of them trying to give you at least tools to curate that yourself. But if you think that was ever on your side when it became, especially when it became public, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to break it to you on that. Oh, Carter has entered the fray.
Hello.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Are you here for good, or are you leaving?
Leaving what?
Well, I'm having a very personal chat with my audience right now. What are you doing? What are you doing? All right, well, go draw. Have fun. Did you want to say anything?
Are you on a screen?
No, I'm recording, though.
Okay.
Do you want to say anything? No? All right. Carter sends her best.
All my love.
Anyway, back to where I was. Yeah, so I'm just done with it. And I'm going to tell you, there are days where that decision, since a week ago today, so Tuesday a week ago, where the decision has been very beneficial and positive for me. Get up in the morning, excited to get moving, focus on the work, focus on the content, making cool stuff, making it for cool people. Like that has really kicked in for me. And I thought, all right, I solved it. This is all I had to do. I just had to look at the world for what it is, accept it, and then move on. Sort of. But then there have been days, today was kind of one of those days, where I get sucked into some pretty gnarly depression about it. Because look, some of you, but I don't mean you listening right now, or maybe you do, but there are people who have suggested that me finally throwing my hands up and going, that's it, I quit, I'm done with this, is tantamount to me saying I don't care about other people who are even more vulnerable than I would ever be. And I need you to know that that is 100% wrong. It's an easy go-to, though. I understand it. I totally get it, why you would do that. I'm not saying throw your hands up and be done with life, with people who need your help, with those in society who are at distinct disadvantages and have been perhaps forever, and certainly are now. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I'm saying the opposite of that. Me going, I can't believe they did this thing. When are we going to wake up, people? Send. Is going to do nothing to help those people. Nothing. You think it is. It isn't. It just isn't. There will always be voices of support online. There'll always be voices of derision online. Those are always going to exist, and you can find what you want to find. All right? Go look for it. But I'm not helping anyone doing that. When I'm helping them is when I'm connecting with them directly, when I know about what they're dealing with, when I talk to them one-on-one, when I answer their emails and we go back and forth and we have a better understanding of where they're coming from and where I'm coming from and what can I do to help them and what can they do in the community to make it a better place. And if we disagree, how can we work on that together? You know, real life human shit. The flesh and blood stuff we were supposed to be good at. That's where you help. That's where you change lives. It's not going to happen, this other thing. It's just not. It's not designed to. These platforms are free for a reason. You are the product. And you know what? I'll quit saying you because I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm trying to tell you where I'm at. I am the product. Okay? I'll point this inward. They want/need me to be on there thinking that somehow this is impactful. And it's a lie that it is. It's just not. They can even show results in your followership or whatever that gives you a sense that, oh, I must be doing good because, you know, it's growing or whatever. It's still, it's not. You're not. It isn't. I mean, Twitter's a very specific example where the place is so overrun with bots and garbage, and honestly, the thing is run. I said this the other day. I'll say it again. It's run on bamboo and cat hair. The thing's a mess. But prior to the current state it's in, when they had, you know, employees and a CEO that seemed to give a shit and all that other stuff, it was about shareholders. It was about showing value every quarter. It was nothing else. It wasn't about, we believe they could say this, but it was never true. We believe our platform is a force for good in the world. No, it's just a platform. And you guys have engineered it to be whatever it is that makes money. And that's fine. Do that. I'm not saying let's screw with the free market. I'm a fan of it. Lets me make, you know, a career. That's not what I mean. What I mean is I'm not falling for it anymore. I'm done. You had me for a big long time, and now you don't. And I wouldn't even say I'm enlightened now. I'm not. I just recognize when I'm being abused. And I don't want to be abused anymore. So that's why this is a change I'm willfully making. And I've held to it. Wherever they give me tools to do it, I have giant mute lists of words and comments and names and all that kind of stuff that I don't want to see every day. And Blue Sky's really good at that. In theory, Threads is, but Threads is, I mean, whatever. This isn't about like find a new thing. It's just that when I need to communicate with people and say, hey, the show's on right now, come watch it. Or we just posted a big long podcast about this. You know, these are the places I'm going now. But I don't drink from the hose anymore is how I put it in the post. No more hose drinking. Post, create, listen to replies and reply to those people. No more public hose. That's what I'm getting at here. These tools can be bent to your will to be used for your you know, the benefit of you and those around you, for sure. And that's all I'm doing. Somebody says, Scott, I love the episode, or Scott, I hate what you said about this and that movie, or whatever it is. I'm answering those. I'm talking to those people. We're having that interaction. That's what this stuff was meant for in the first place. That's how it's being used now. I'm done with the public hose. The public hose, either the follower hose, or even the for you hose, the algorithmic hose. Neither of them serves me very well at all. They just don't anymore, especially anything algorithmic. It's just a waste. So I don't do that. And I'm better for it. But all of that being said, it's still, you know, none of this is easy. There's times where I just think, I had dreams all night last night about some rational, irrational fears is the best way I can put those. Because part of me thinks that, you know, we're just in we're in a real dip. Clearly we're in a big dip. And I always have this like long running optimism that typically it's a rising road. History is you take the long view and get out of your own perspective for a minute. Just look at it from the broader one. I think that's important to do. So I remember reading a lot of history and deep diving into like the history of this country, the history of the world, different conflicts, different, times of, in particular, really focused on like the Renaissance and what made it that, and what groups were maybe like left out of that while everybody else was having this artistic Renaissance. What parts of society were not allowed at the party? You know what I mean? Things like that. It's really good for two reasons. One, it's just a great refresher on stuff you may already know, but also things you've never heard of before. And it also just pulls the camera way out. Here's the comparison I'd give. When I was in New Orleans 20 something years ago, longer than that even, I think. I was down there in the French Quarter. We were visiting for a week or something. We had family there, and Kim and I were out running around with everybody, and we were having a great day. Everything was good, but it started to get dark, and we realized that we weren't sure where we were or how to get back to where we needed to go. And if you've ever been to New Orleans, you know this. The place this would have been pre-Katrina. I don't know if it's that different where we were anyway, but you get one street off the normal tourist stuff, and you're in trouble. Like you could be in huge trouble. Like some of those just really close by streets in New Orleans are no joke when it comes to crime and, not just muggings, but like stabbings and rapes and shootings and all this stuff, right? So there's some places down there. And we got into some neighborhoods that were just clearly like, we should not be in these neighborhoods. And I had kids with me, little kids who were not my kids. We didn't have kids yet, but so this would have been like 30 years ago. Jeez. Anyway, they were like Kim's siblings and then some cousins and stuff like that. We're running around this town, and it's getting darker and darker. And we get into an area where like this, no way, this is where we're supposed to be. And at some point, some lady, drug-addled lady, comes barreling out of her house and starts digging through her yard or the grass out in front. It wasn't even really grass; it was like dirt, looking for a needle. And she was screaming, "Does anyone see my needle? Does anybody see my needle?" And it was like, oh my gosh, this is bad. We're in trouble out here. And that was a very stressful night. We did finally find our way back, and I think we kind of just got lucky, to be honest. But it was pretty scary. Now, jump ahead a few days when we had to fly home. We get in the plane, we take off, and as we're rising in the air, I notice off to my left or right, wherever I was looking, at a window seat, and I could see the exact place we were lost from a bird's eye view that only got more bird's eye as we pulled up, right? So as the plane is going higher in the sky, everything starts to look almost like a toy down there, right? Little fake cars and little fake houses and little fake buildings, and nothing looks real or intimidating or freaky, or we're going to get lost in there, because I'm seeing it from this overhead view. Not only can I see all the places you need to go to get out of there, which we couldn't see on the ground, but even the stuff that was scary on the ground is no longer scary because I'm seeing it from this other perspective and a safe distance, right? That is what my decision last week to just start digging into history as a method of dealing with this stuff is doing for me personally. I can't say it's going to work for everybody. For some people, it's maybe just like distracting and annoying. I don't know. For me, though, sitting down and focusing on different aspects of history from that perspective, the pulled out academic look, has a way of calming me down and broadening my perspective and understanding what our place is inside of a very complicated fabric of time. Like we think we're all that. And as it's happening to us, and it's the worst it's ever been. It's all these things. It's not. It really isn't. And there's so much you can do offline to affect people's lives in positive ways. And the online stuff is mostly a lie that you're doing any good. You can make great connections. I mean, I love it. Dude, half my life is online. More than that. So many friends, lifelong friends who I would have never met otherwise. People I work with, people I talk to. This community is precious to me. It doesn't exist without the internet bringing us together. But collectively yelling at each other on a social media platform who benefits with dollars and cents from you yelling on it, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it for me. It's just, it can't. I'm done. I can't do it. So anyway, I hope this all made some sense. I wanted to get this out and just, have the conversation somewhere, because I'm not doing it in any of the mainstream places. If I've got a video game show, I'm not going to talk about politics in there unless it's something that directly is an industry related note or piece of news or something. For example, if all these promised tariffs, which I'm half convinced most won't happen, just because I think it will piss off too many other people with money. That's the other thing, is a lot of the stuff that was said during the lead up often won't get put into place, because the last thing you can do is piss off all your donors and piss off people whose life it is to just make massive amounts of money on the backs of everybody else. And if you mess with their formulas, you're screwed. So I don't know. Some of that stuff I don't think is going to happen. But let's just say a bunch of tariffs are levied, and one of the things that gets affected is any new consoles coming out of China or Japan or anywhere in the East, that they're going to be negatively affected, and people like you and me are going to pay 300% more or whatever. That's definitely a topic. That's a thing. We should talk about it. And it's appropriate and contextual to talk about it on Core or on Play Retro or on some show where that's what we talk about. But what you're not going to get this quote unquote cycle, what you're not going to get over the next 4 years or beyond or less or whatever it turns into, you're not going to get Scott every day venting his personal sense of esoteric doom, because it's literally not my job. My job is not to bring you guys down. My job is to bring us all up somehow. And maybe that's with stupid cartoons or a funny podcast, whatever it is that does it. That's literally my job, and that's my whole job. That's it. Everything else is gravy, and that has to be the focus. You can get all that other stuff anywhere. You can get outrage and obstinance, anger, shithead behavior, all that. You can get all that anywhere you need. There are so many places online for you. Oh my gosh, it's a booming business. Have you heard of this place called X.com? You should check it out if you're looking for some real negative vibes. Like, you don't need me for that, or me treading it up or kicking it up or talking about it or parroting all of it. It's already there. It's already out there. So yeah, just don't, I can't do that anymore. And there's so many, when you stand back and realize what you are in the cog, what cog you are in the clockwork, then you just suddenly go, well, shit. Why am I allowing to get myself to get yanked around like this? I could have used, if I spent a third of my energy that it took me to be all outraged online and went and turned that into something meaningful on the ground, help somebody immediately with something they need, like right now, how much more I could do. It's a bigger impact, even if it's one person on the ground. Even if it doesn't entirely work and all you did was leave them with a little bit of positive something that may affect them later, then it was worth it. And don't come at me going, well, Scott, you can do that online. What if you said something to change somebody's mind? It doesn't happen. It's not happening. The people that need to see positivity aren't seeing it. The people that want to have these platforms, reflect nothing but positive upward momentum, the platforms don't want that. There's no money in that. So we have to, I had to acknowledge that the game, first of all, not even to answer the question whether the game is worth playing, it's acknowledging that it is a game, and I'm not controlling it. I'm an NPC in Grand Theft Auto. Maybe I'll get it run over. Maybe I'm autonomous. Maybe I can walk around. Maybe I work at that burger place in the middle of San Andreas. Maybe not. Maybe I'll catch a stray bullet from some shit-ass gamer who's just firing bullets for no reason because he's bored with the game. You understand what I'm saying? That's the scenario I'm talking about. In that world, I am an NPC with no autonomy. I feel like I have it, but I don't. We are made to feel like we have some, but we don't. Where I am the main protagonist, where I am the main character, where I can control my actions, my movements, my decisions, my conversations, my dialogue trees, is right here on the ground within my sphere of influence, no matter how small, big, or middle that is. That's it. That's it. All right. I'd love to hear your takes, your thoughts, your feelings. That's what this is for. It's the only show where you're going to get any kind of stuff like this. So if you want to, toss your feelings, your thoughts, whatever, please do. Go to the website, frogpants.com, and just use the contact form. It'll let you send an email, or if you'd rather email, you can do Scott at frogpants.com. You can text me 801-471-0462. That doubles as a voicemail line. You can do all this anonymously. It doesn't have to have your name if you don't want to. If you think I'm dead wrong, please do it too. This is the only place where I'm going to have this conversation. So if you're expecting me to, open the book wide on TMS or something, I'm not. I'm done. We're not doing that anymore. I'm out. But I'll do it here. Because, every how do I put this? Every dog needs a butthole. That sounds terrible, but the dog's got to let it out someplace. So this is where the dog is doing it. That's probably not a great way of saying it. All right. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of the podcast. And thanks to those who support it via all the ways you do at the store and stuff like that. Oh, these Frog Pants laser etched mugs, tumbler things are going up tomorrow on the store at frogpants.shop. So if you see those and want to grab one, they're going to be cheap. They're going to be really well made, but cheap in price. And we're also doing free shipping in the US. So the only downside is very limited quantity. I don't have a ton of these. They're kind of expensive to get in bulk. So we have to commit to more than we can or need to. So that's why there's less this time. But anyway, all that going up soon. And I appreciate everyone who will grab one of those, and also just your general support. And even just listening to this, I appreciate it a lot. I'll talk to you soon. Be safe.